Hi, I'm Jason Sterling, a member of the EA Creator Network. Hi, I'm Jason Sterling, and today we're going to take a tour of Forever Fields, right? The perfect place to lay your loved ones to rest for their eternal sleep right here in Ravenwood. I made this for the Life and Death pack, and it somehow never got done. It was the last thing I was working on, and I think my school started back up, and I had to just stop, and I thought, oh, I'll finish it. And what do you know? I am finishing it right now. Right now, also, what we're coming into, I talk a lot about when I'm going through these tours, especially when I'm editing, but sometimes when I'm recording as well, I'll see mistakes that I haven't noticed the whole rest of the time. And right there was one of them where there was a little bit of, kind of a gap there so you could see under the roof and kind of over the wall into the room past there. So this first bit is a little bit of build stuff where it shows how a lot of times I do go in, I try to fix all that stuff before I upload it to the gallery. We're also going to look here. There's a few places where ceilings were missing. There were some places where I forgot to put in ceiling decor, because in this build I really wanted to use ceiling decor rock or stone and wood. And then there were places that I'm sure I did it because part of it was done, but in a room, but the other part wasn't. So I don't know. This game, things disappear, and I'm just think that's what happened a few places, but it should all be fixed now. Now, you never know. Someone did a tour once of a build I did of a restaurant, like kind of a throwaway build. I'm not even sure why they chose that one, but it was just kind of a small throwaway build. And throughout their tour, they were like, oh, look, there's no ceiling here. There's no ceiling here. There's no ceiling here. Because they would go down and look up. I would swear there was a ceiling, when I built it. I would swear. But I think, if you've played this game for any amount of time, especially as a builder, ceilings disappear, shit disappears with a wind, strong wind, stuff disappears. Now, I'm going to go ahead. We should nearly be done here. I didn't go through everything. I fixed, we are. We are done, so we can get back to our tour. You come in, of course, to a sort of portico. In theory, the idea is you could drive into this portico so that if there is inclement weather, the bereaved ones could get out. To the left is a caretaker's office and residence. To the right, as we're going in, up the stairs here, right, walking up the stairs, we come into the sort of sanctuary hall. I really quite like this. I think it would work well for weddings as well, not just funerals. Now, naturally you have a bunch of tombstones outside that could put a pall on your wedding service. Maybe not. Maybe you're goth. Maybe you're into that thing. Maybe you like it. Or, you just pretend that part isn't there, but it would be good for weddings. It's a fairly good sized space. We're going to go back into the main sort of entrance hall here. Now, up above, there is a loft space, and you'll see it better. I always put individual pictures at the end of a build, so that way if there's something you wanted to look at more in depth, there's just a solid picture of it that you can pause on. Up above, though, in a sort of loft area, there's an organ for the church. This is what I think of as just kind of a family area. So, if they're trying to kind of pull themselves together, have an emotional moment, there's somebody that can go in private and get away from the larger group of people. This is a little private garden off of that space. Again, so they can maybe step outside if they want to, things like that. We're going to pull all the way back, and then we're going to look in the caretaker's office. I say office, and his sort of residence. The office doubles a little bit like a living room for him because this is a pretty small space on purpose, because I want this to feel like an older church. And I think in the old days, the caretaker's residence wouldn't have had really large, grand, spacious rooms. So in this case, in order to make it feel a little more modern, I turned the office into kind of a seating and dining area as well. if someone wanted to use it that way. That door there, that leads to the bathroom, like a public restroom. This is a more private side of the residence for the caretaker. See, it's pretty little. It's pretty little. We have a little entryway, little place to sit, a couple of rocking chairs, a little place to eat. Again, just a couple of chairs. And then a kitchen. The kitchen is remarkably nice because, you know, these appliances are super expensive, right? And the cabinetry is expensive. So he did get lucky there. Got a really nice designer kitchen. This is his bedroom. I did not do a lot of clutter here. Again, I felt like with being a small space, he would try to keep his clutter down. Plus, he's, you know, a cemetery caretaker. You know, he's not really into collecting stuff right now. This is a small space. The bathroom's even smaller, but again, that's on purpose because I feel like we're talking about a building that sometime someone went in and retrofitted with an actual bathroom. So like there wouldn't have been plumbing when the building was built. You know, they had to put it in later. This is a little smaller portico over by his residence. That door that we just pulled back from, that's the entrance, the back door to his residence. This is a sort of entry hall for a building that covers one of the crypts that is underground. And we'll see those last. There's a door. There's a door right there that leads downward to the newer crypt. You know, like, well, except it's kind of old. So I really kind of think of it as maybe it was really old, but maybe the original building either fell apart or was just really dilapidated. So when they built this church, they built a new building to replace that. But down below, that crypt is really, really old. The cemetery, I kept like a standard sort of, I guess, American cemetery, although I've been to cemeteries in other parts of the world and I feel like they still also look like this. Pretty much, you know, a grid with everyone lined out, right, in little lines. This is the same way. Now, I did these ravens, or I think they said they're crows. I always call them ravens. I'm going to keep calling them ravens. My game, my way. At all the four kind of cardinal points, right? That something happened there. I don't even know what happened. One day I looked and all that was floating, right? That whole area. So I went ahead and left it and just fenced it off. like, don't go here. Something's wrong. Don't go here. We're passing like the oldest part of the cemetery there. That's like an old family cemetery. Maybe the first family who established this particular cemetery. The newer headstones, the newer burials are pure white. The older ones were kind of the crooked, crazy ones. The floating stuff, I just thought was really quirky, especially for the pack being life and death. And there was a lot of sort of supernaturalism sort of in it. So I left it. I didn't try to fix it. Now I have not tested it yet. I will before I upload it. But I don't actually know that if I save it and then bulldoze this slot and replace it, will everything drop to the ground? I don't know. I kind of hope not, because you really don't need that many tombstones anyway. And like I said, it gives it a real sort of like quirky, eerie sort of vibe, right? There, the one side, you can see some empty grass for future residents here, right? Future internees into this place. We're heading back to a family crypt, right? This is where the wealthiest family in town lives, is right there in that little private built sort of mausoleum. We will go inside here in a second. I was just looking at the stone on the front of that, like on the roof, you know. I might tinker with that a little bit. You know, again, I'm watching it now. I've gone through this a lot, play tested it, all that sort of stuff. Never once bothered me. But now right there, those stones look a little odd to me. I guess they're not. I'm going to look at it. So I might change that. I don't know. This is the family crypt, though. You can see there's a big vault there for the first guy that built it because he's super important. We all know he is. Totally important, totally rich. He gets the vault. Everyone else gets cremated and stuck in little vases around him so they can continue to gaze upon him forever. Admire his financial brilliance built that place. This is a larger sort of mausoleum, but it's mostly meant to hold cremated individuals people who have been cremated, but they want to be interred at, cemetery. So that's mostly what it's for. I use for wings for this building the actual rabbit hole kind of mausoleum that came with life and death. They do work. So you can go to any one of the rabbit holes. There's 3 of them, one on each side, one in the back that you can enter from behind the cemetery. You can go into any of those and they work just like a regular mausoleum rabbit hole. I also love the way the backside, I push it just a little bit in to give a sort of carved stained glass appearance to the interior for where you put your urns, right? This is an old crypt. Like I said, I haven't decided if this is the oldest crypt or if the other one is. I'll tell you when we get to the other one why I kind of feel like it is. But this looks really old too, right? And the idea was with these different flooring types leading back, and the walls are a little bit more rustic as you get back, is that the oldest part of it is here that we're looking at right there, right? That's the oldest part. And then as you get closer, it gets newer. It's been updated as people have been buried. Right here, we have someone, I always put my own sort of spin on lore, my own sort of lore into the story. So obviously, Mr. Vlad there had an unadmirer of the werewolf clan who came in and just slashed his picture up. Over here, we're going to head back to that final crypt, the secondary crypt down underneath. Just passing through the cemetery, there's not much to say about it. It's a cemetery. The building itself, I was most interested in. I thought about turning the building into a residence by the cemetery. I do think that would still work so that you could adjust the rooms to be additional bedrooms and living spaces and things like that. It might be really cool, again, for a Gothic sort of family, a neo-Gothic sort of family. Coming down here, the crypt is very tight underground, actually tighter than the other one. Maybe that's kind of why I see it as older, because it is kind of tight. You got these old looking paintings too of these people, like some family members or something, along with a few places to, I guess, pray. There's a book there. Maybe it's a Bible, a family Bible. Could be a family Bible for the person buried right next to it, something like that. Back here is like the oldest part, though. I consider this the oldest part of any crypt, really, even though it is stoned in and not dirt, because we have a really old coffin there. See, it's a werewolf. It's a werewolf coffin. This may be like the first person ever buried here, maybe of the werewolf clans. And so maybe one of his relatives later on, the vampires moved in and wanted to be buried here too, and they just slashed up. Although vampires live forever, right? Don't they? I guess you could kill them. So at some point, a vampire got shot there by a silver bullet, and he got killed. We are, of course, at the end. I'm sure you see the pictures coming by, the still shots. There'll be still shots of the entire build. And then this is available on the gallery. My ID is Jason Sterling, RMC on the gallery. And there'll be a link in the description as well. Please hit like, subscribe, and notify while you're checking out that description. We'll be doing more build tours and what's it called? What is this new pack called? Isn't that terrible? Oh, Enchanted by Nature. I don't even deserve to be in the Creator Network because I can't even remember what their shit is. I do play The Sims a lot, though. And so it's Enchanted by Nature. I've got a lot of builds coming for that. I've been working on them. So these are just some older builds I'm just finishing up. So Enchanted by Nature stuff is coming along with some other, I don't know. Maybe I have a storyline I've been working on. Eventually I'm going to put that up, but I want to wait till I have enough episodes to carry me for a while because I have a habit of starting it and then I can't keep ahead of it, because of life. I do work full time, like 55 hours a week, and I'm enrolled in school full time, and I'm a dad. So I want to get a big backlog of episodes going so I don't run into that, but those will be coming as well. So please hit like, subscribe, and notify. And until next time, thank you for watching.
Say live and die. well. You gotta give the